And these experts will speak for about 10 minutes each to this topic, and then we will entertain questions which you will put in the chat box, and I shall present it to the speakers as we proceed. In the interest of housekeeping and to avoid interference, we shall keep everybody muted. Please, as you join, make sure you are muted. Goodness, please mute all except anyone who is about to speak, and those will be my speakers. And so, ladies and gentlemen, today we have before us three presenters: Professor Paul Ananamba, Mr. Sonny Akin Agunji, Esquire, and Sarah Adekunle James, Esquire, all legal luminaries in their own right. And without any further discussion, I shall turn the mic over to our first speaker, who will be Sonny Akin Ogunji, Esquire. If you could please give us an overview of electoral law and election financing as it pertains to the diaspora. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
I can hear you. Please proceed, and everybody else stay muted.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my name is Sunday Akin Ogunji. I'm an attorney licensed in the US, particularly New York and Nigeria. The topic of today, which is electoral law in Nigeria and the financing of election, particularly by Nigerians in diaspora. Nigerians in diaspora. There are laws that guide the financing of election in Nigeria. We have the Constitution of Nigeria in 1999 as amended. We have the Electoral Act of 2022. We have the Corporate and the Company and Parliamentary Act 2022. We have the regulations and the election guidelines made pursuant to the relevant provision of the Electoral Act by the INEC of 2022. These are the laws. The statutes and the regulation and the constitution that guide and regulate election financing in Nigeria. So, as it relates particularly to Nigerians who are in diaspora, who include me and the great doctor moderating today, whether we can finance election in Nigeria. There are two things there. Whether we can finance a candidate or a candidate standing for an election or a political party, as it were. Now, to address this, one will look at the main law, which is the Constitution of Nigeria, that particularly regulates that. And it provides that a particular section 225 3A, it provides that no political party shall hold or possess any funds or other assets outside Nigeria, or that is B now of 2253 says that be entitled, that this political party, as it appears on the constitution, that that no political party is entitled to retain any funds or assets remitted or sent to it from outside Nigeria. So two things call for interpretation here as far as this provision is concerned. That is, whether this section relates to only political party, and two, whether it affects Nigerians like you, doctor, and I, who are based in the United States of America, and others who are based in Canada, UK, and so, whether they can finance, whether they can send funds or remit assets to political party or candidates in Nigeria. But as it appears in the constitution, it will seem that the provision only applies to political parties. That is to say that it is only political party that cannot receive funding or get asset remitted to it from outside Nigeria. And outside Nigeria can be even Republic of Benin, can be Cameroon, our neighbor there, can be Niger, can be Chad. However, because of the history of Nigeria, and the regulation of Nigeria, I don't believe very strongly that to avoid any problem, any serious problem for any candidate, vying for any post in Nigeria, whether local government, whether chairman, whether governorship, whether House of Reps, whether Senate, whether presidency, that provision, when it gets tested, the court will say in the end, by applying what is called golden rule, what is called mischief rule, and what is called, you cannot isolate a particular section of the Constitution and avoid the other. So the court, I believe that the court are going to apply all of this to now conclude and say that the expression political party includes not only political parties in Nigeria, but candidates. Because Section 131 says unequivocally that a candidate must be sponsored by a political party. So it will be difficult for the court to now say, because the provision of the law says that it does not expressly say that candidate cannot be funded from outside Nigeria, then political party, the candidate can be funded. Meanwhile, that candidate is being funded by a political party, and two, is to advance the candidate when he wins, he or she wins, is to advance the interest in the first place of the political party, and secondly, the interest of Nigerians. So in my view, I am saying that to avoid any future problem, any immediate problem, not even future, immediate problem to any candidate, Nigerians in diaspora, including me, who want to sponsor, who want to fund a political party or a candidate, should just avoid that now, because when the money gets to Lagos, to Nigeria, from America, from United Kingdom, I guarantee you substantially, because of the attorney general we have, and the kind of PSC we have, they are going to hold on to that money, and the candidate will not be able to use that money to fund his or her election, and it will be a waste. And another day, the money can become illegitimate. So what I would suggest to them is to just avoid that easily. When you have money in Nigeria, in this age and time, you hardly see anybody in America or in the United Kingdom or Canada who does not have an account in Nigeria or does not have one way or the other to generate money in Nigeria. Just organize, look for how to send money from Nigeria, from the account in Nigeria, send it to a political party or send it to a candidate to avoid problem for the candidate, because by the time you push it, by February, everything will be over and the money will be valueless. And it may even become illegitimate in law, technically speaking. So that is the overview. When if questions arise, then I will expatiate.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was Sonny Akin Ogunji, Esquire, Principal, Law Office of Ogunji PLLC in Dallas, Texas. He is licensed both in the United States of America and in Nigeria, and a member of the Nigerian Bar Association and of the New York Bar Association. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogunji Esquire.
Thank you.
And now we will be listening to another legal luminary. My second speaker is Professor Paul Chibuike Ananamba, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Solicitor and Advocate and Draftsman and a mediator and arbitrator. He is a member of a lot of institutes and associations locally and internationally. He is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators of the United Kingdom, Nigeria branch. And so it's my pleasure to have him take the floor, Professor Paul Ananamba. Please unmute yourself as you begin.
Thank you, Dr. Ilogo. I just listened to my brother make his interventions a while ago. I do not totally agree with him, but we agree that the law is settled on diaspora funding in Nigeria. Let me begin by saying that diaspora funding with respect to elections is a serious issue now. It's on the front burner, and that has been orchestrated by the Labour Party and its presidential candidate, Peter Obi, inaugurating some committee for funding. And I will give an overview, and then I will be willing to take questions from where it comes, in view of the fact that I've spent several years on election petitions in Nigeria. I'm presently on election petition as we speak, so it's something that is hands-on. Now, two laws are important as we discuss. There are many laws we can investigate, but two primary laws: the Grundnorm, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it is with respect to Section 225 of the Constitution of Nigeria as amended, and then 225A, because we've had 4 alterations of the Constitution. We call them alterations, because the Constitution was not really amended, but they were altered along the line. So the alteration, 4th alteration, created a Section 225A. And that Section 225A, what it does is to provide for grounds in which INEC can deregister a political party. And it doesn't have to do with diaspora funding, so I eliminate that out of the way. Now, you can also think about Section 153 of the Constitution, which created INEC. So, and when you go to the 3rd schedule of the Constitution, paragraph F, you will see the powers of INEC. It has powers to regulate the funds of political parties. It has powers to scrutinize their funding and all what can be raised and what cannot be raised. Now, you know, a constitution is a concise document. Now, the Electoral Act built on the Constitution on Section 225 to create from section 85 to section 90 of the Electoral Act issues about fundings to political parties. Now, section 2253A says that, you know, a political party cannot hold or possess funds or other assets outside Nigeria. It cannot hold or possess funds or other assets outside Nigeria. Then sub B says that it cannot be entitled to retain any funds or assets that are outside Nigeria. Now, it is that section 2253A and B, that section 85 of the Electoral Act 2022 addresses it. It just says that 85A addresses 225A. It says anybody who holds or possesses funds, any political party who holds or possesses funds outside Nigeria commits an offense. And the punishment is 5 million naira. Okay? And that's the minimum punishment. Now, if you retain funds outside Nigeria as a political party, then you also, the fine is at least 5 million naira. That's what the law says. And it can only attract a literal interpretation. Political party. Now, if you go to the Electoral Act, section 152 defines what a political party is. It defines a political party as an association of persons seeking or group seeking for votes or to collect, to obtain power. So it does not interpret political party to include its candidates. Now, when you look at the definition of candidate, it doesn't define a candidate to include political party. So they stand alone. And that is why in election petitions, you have 3 parties: INEC, the candidate, the political party. In this instance, just like my brother said, even though a political party sponsors a candidate, they are both different in the eyes of the law. Now, there is nothing in the Constitution, which is the basic law of the land, the Grundlagen, or the Electoral Act that binds a candidate from obtaining funds for electoral purposes from outside Nigeria. No such provision. And even the widest interpretation cannot lead to such results. Now, when you go beyond section 85 of the Electoral Act and go to section 86 and 87, the Electoral Act now talks about the candidates. It gives INEC powers to limit the amount of money you can contribute to a candidate and to a political party. So the intention of the Electoral Act, where it will include the candidate, it talks about it. Where it will be only political party, it talks about it, like funding. So nothing stops a candidate because the candidate has a fundamental right. And it has been a practice in previous elections, even leading to this one, that candidates raise funds from outside the country. So Diaspora has always contributed to electoral financing in Nigeria. But the only limitation in the Electoral Act 2022 is that when you look at section 88.8, section 88.8 says, when diaspora funding is coming, it cannot be more than 50 billion naira. That's the only limitation. And section 888 says so. 889 now says, makes it punishable. And then so 8810 now talks about other imprisonments and others. So diaspora funding is not against the law in Nigeria, but it has to, there are limitations to how much you can contribute from the diaspora point. And you come to think about it, when you look at the provisions of the Electoral Act, it makes election impossible in Nigeria, because from what the law now says, election expenses, section 88, when you look at 882, you cannot, as a presidential candidate, spend more than 5 billion. But I can tell you in real terms, one state may take the entire 5 billion. How much is 5 billion by dollar standards? How much is, what is the worth of the naira? So diaspora funding can be helpful. I've had my brother say, oh, the law enforcement agencies will go and say, that will not happen. I don't see that happening because the law is very clear. You can raise funds from, as an individual from the diaspora. We are even a political party that proceeds under section 225 and receives funds. It must within 21 days send those funds to INEC so that INEC will proceed from there. So those are my interventions at this point. The contention that individuals cannot receive diaspora funds is not backed by law, has stand to be corrected. It's not backed by any law. It's not an offense. There can be no offense in Nigeria except it is contained in a written law. There's no written law to that effect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Onanamba. In the interest of those who are just joining us, we have in our presence today 3 legal luminaries who are speaking to the facts of electoral law in Nigeria and the election financing as it pertains to the Nigerian diaspora. And I thank you both for your comments. The first speaker was Sonny Akin Ogunji Esquire, principal at the law office of Ogunji PLLC, Dallas, Texas, whose position was that the candidate cannot be separated from the party, and therefore, if the party is not to raise funds, he was arguing that the candidate therefore is also not able to raise funds from the diaspora. And our second speaker was a senior advocate of Nigeria, Professor Onanamba, who maintained that the party is not allowed to raise funds from the diaspora, and but the individual may do so because the party is separate from the individual. This is a summary of what they spoke to, and we will now hear our third speaker, and after that we will delve into the questions. And so it is with pleasure that I introduce to you our third speaker for today. She is Sarah Adekunle James, Esquire, a lawyer, international development expert, political enthusiast, and policy analyst. Through an organization which she co-founded, the Knowlton Africa, she has demonstrated passion for building and setting up nonprofits and foundations that make real impact in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. James.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. I listened to my seniors at the bar, and from the conversation that has already gone on this afternoon, stroke evening, from wherever location you might be listening to this, I know that you can take some key points. So number one, from everything that's been said, it can be agreed that both the Constitution and the Electoral Act 2022 agrees that political parties are not supposed to receive funding from diaspora. The second thing you can agree on, if you've listened to the conversation earlier, is that it can be debatable whether or not candidates and political parties are separate entities. Yeah, and prior to this moment, a lot of reports, a lot of conclusions have come on to say, oh, the candidate and political parties are one and the same, or the candidate and political parties are two separate people. So I would not want to go into that analysis, because with different case laws, different submissions, either points can be actually established. But I want to shine a little attention to another alternative that we might not have paid attention to. My senior at the SAN that spoke earlier before me read a particular section of the law, which is section 88 of the Electoral Act. Now, section 88 of the Electoral Act says that any organization that wants to donate to a campaign, it cannot be more than 50 million naira. Now, that brings to my notice that even if there's a bit of a debate about whether or not diaspora can contribute to a political party, there is no debate at the moment in Nigeria that anyone in diaspora can contribute to a non-governmental organization. So you might ask, prior to this moment, how has politicians, some of them actually, how have they raised funds for people in the diaspora community? A simple way they have done that without going through the legal back and forth, the legal analysis, the legal battle, is through non-governmental organizations. So the diaspora community can contribute fine to any NGO in Nigeria, and that is not debatable under whatsoever law. Now, that organization, which is a Nigerian entity, can also donate at maximum 50 million naira to the campaign they are supporting. They are within their right to do that as an activity that they want to do to pursue what their cause or interest is in. So I would say that the safest, and I hear the argument that political parties and candidates are separate entities, but I do not pitch my tent there. I do not really align with that submission, because without the candidates, why would a political party try to raise funds? The real this thing of political parties, the main function is to sponsor candidates to an election. So I actually would pitch my tent more in the fact that they are one and the same. And to be honest, whether or not we would have an argument as to whether are they the same, the conclusion is that there is a debate about that. Now, if an organization wants to support a particular candidate and you're looking for a safe mechanism and you're trying to go by the books, I submit to you, my dear listeners, that the best way to go is to contribute money to an organization that is registered in Nigeria. And that organization has the free will to donate 50 million naira to a campaign in Nigeria. So to avoid the whole legal battles, to avoid the legal analysis, to avoid playing by the book, the best bet, which a lot of people have used. At the last election, I worked with a candidate that was running for the House of Representatives in a particular state. That's House of Representatives, that was in Osun State. And this was a very easy method that we used to raise funds from the diaspora community. Had a foundation, with the foundation was to support the cause of Osun State, and the foundation was able to contribute the money to the campaign without having any legal issue whatsoever. So instead of so I just went straight forward to my conclusion, so that I don't have to repeat the entire section 225 that you've already heard from the Constitution, section 85 from the Electoral Act. So I'm pointing light to section 88, subsection 8, that says an organization can contribute 50 million maximum to a political campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sarah Adekunle James, Esquire. It's been very insightful listening to all our three presenters. For the benefit of those who have just joined us, we have in our presence today Mr. Sunday Akin Ogunji, Esquire, he is Principal Law Office of Ogunji PLLC in Dallas, Texas, who is arguing to the fact that the election law says political parties cannot raise funds abroad. That's a summary of his discussion. And he is of the opinion, I maintain again, this is an opinion, he is of the opinion that the party cannot be separated from the candidate. And so if the party is not allowed, he is of the opinion that the candidate is not allowed. And our second speaker is another legal luminary, professor and senior advocate of Nigeria, Paul Ananaba, who has argued to the fact that the political party is what the law stipulates, is not allowed to raise funds, but the individual candidates, there is nothing in the law that says that they cannot, and therefore he is arguing that the individual candidates can raise funds from abroad or the diaspora. And our last speaker, Ms. Sarah Adekunle James, has argued to the fact that you could look at it both ways, although she is also thinking that maybe the party and the candidate are one and the same. She is suggesting a workaround, a way of avoiding any controversy and using other means to send money to candidates who you support or to parties you support in Nigeria. And so that's been an overview of the points of view of our legal team today. And at this point, I would like to introduce some questions that have been posted by our members in the chat. In the interest of time and just to streamline our presentation, please put your questions in the chat. I shall read them out and have our speakers address them. The first question posed by Dr. Cliff Eke: is this really the first time that political parties or candidates have received funding from the diaspora? Evidence exists that in 2015, the currently ruling party and the president received lots of money from groups in the UK, and there was no such opposition or alarm. Why now? I hope my speakers had the question. If anybody would be willing to address it, I will go in the order in which they spoke. Sunday Akin Ogunji, please. Mr. Ogunji, are you with us? You can unmute and speak. Okay, it looks like we've lost Mr. Ogunji at the moment. When he joins us, we will have him comment.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me now, Doctor?
We hear you well. Please speak.
The question, the answer to that question is very simple. It's very simple. There have been, prior to 2023, as we are going into it, people, individuals, entities, groups, professional associations, so on and so forth, had contributed money wherever they were outside Nigeria to get to political parties and candidates in Nigeria. But they won't do it in the way that it has become a national issue now. That's the problem. It became a national issue. And you know the kind of attorney general we have now. You know his antecedent history. He's going to seize those money. You know. So that's what I'm advising. And to agree with Madeleine sister that look, do this systematically. There are ways around this thing. Instead of going public and saying that we are going to raise $150 million, I guarantee substantially EFCC will seize those money. They are on their radar now. They are working. So that is the problem. Okay, they did it with political immaturity. With due respect to them, with political immaturity. These people, you said the APC ruling government, before and so they have friends, they have people in America, they have companies that can give them money, but they will do systematically and they won't make it a public affair, unlike what we had 2 weeks ago. That was the problem. So you could see that it is political. And if the shoe had been on the other side, I guarantee substantially the other side too will have raised the alarm. That is our society for you. That one is no law now. That one is pure political. And I'm sorry I delved into political matters. That's a political question. It's not a legal question.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogunji. Just as a reminder to all on the panel, our organization, the Nigerian Physicians Advocacy Group, is a non-partisan organization. And so we would like all answers to be balanced, preferably based on legal precedents, if possible, so that we can objectively look at the questions and get some answers that could be considered legal. Please, Professor, if you want to proceed. Same question.
Thank you. I'm sure this debate is not only in the US. I've spoken extensively on it in Nigeria, having been a former chairman of Section of Public Interest and Development Law in Nigeria, in the Nigerian Bar Association, and other eminent lawyers have spoken also about this. I'm not guessing what I'm saying. I cannot make submissions based on the type of attorney general or security agency we have. No, the law is clear. And if there are people that should ensure that the law remains what it is those in diaspora. Those in diaspora, you are not under any serious threat not to state or support what the law is. The law will remain what it is until an amendment is made. The individual, the law does not talk about the individual. When our jurisprudence welcomed candidate party issues with Amechi's case, it didn't get to this far. It has to do with sponsorship. And I have made the point clear that if political party and candidate are the same the way we are looking at it here, then why did Faleke's case go the way it went? I go and check Faleke and INEC. When the candidate died before being sworn in, did the deputy governorship candidate take the seat? The Supreme Court came clear that that's not what it means, that party. And yes, if we are also talking about looking for other ways, there are many other ways the diaspora can send money. Check the Diaspora Act, Nigerian Diaspora Act. You will see they update Nigerians as to remittances from the diaspora to Nigeria. It has to do with fundamental right of the individual. A political party doesn't have a fundamental right under our constitution. So the constitution and the electoral act will not go against the individual, but it can go against a political party because a political party doesn't have a fundamental right. It is a balance between two deep issues: the fundamental right of the individual and the quest for a state not to allow external influence to determine its political future. Those are the competing issues in our jurisprudence. And I want to say clearly that what we want to avoid will rather happen if you use any NGO. It's not an NGO thing. If you want to send money to Nigeria, you've been sending money to Nigeria, you know how it is legal to do that. But an individual can receive, a candidate in a political party can receive up to 50,000 or 50 million naira at one point. No organization or individual can contribute more than million. That's what section 88.8 says. And if any fund gets beyond that, it goes to the INEC. The law doesn't even say that INEC should confiscate the money. So let us not be sentimental about it. Let's look at the law for what the law is. Are there other ways without openly declaring that you are going to a political party? Yes. And from section 85 to 90 of the Electoral Act, the INEC has duty. In fact, section 4 gives INEC duty to regulate funding of political parties, even if it's political parties. It doesn't give any duty to regulate an individual's financial earnings. So this is what the law is, as far as I know. There's no law barring an individual, but there are limitations. The law places limitations on individual. It doesn't debar the individual. But for a political party, it is a no-no. You cannot as a political party. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Please, any comments from Ms. Sarah Adekunle James? Once more, speaking to the question I had given earlier, I know people have been speaking. I will repeat the question just in the interest of Ms. Sarah. Is this really the first time that political parties or candidates have received funding from the diaspora? Evidence exists that this happened in 2015 with the current ruling party.
That is correct. Sorry, Mr. Moderator. Sorry. Yes. That is correct. It is in the public domain. Funds are sent to individuals who run elections in this country. It's never a problem.
Okay.
Never been a problem.
Thank you.
Political party, even then, political parties stated clearly, don't send funds to us. But it's the same.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Sunday James. Sorry, Ms. Sarah James.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now. Thank you.
All right. Amazing. Like the earlier speaker said, I think from the conversations that we've had, political parties receiving funds from diaspora is expressly prohibited is expressly prohibited from the law. So whether or not they've gone at the back of the law to do that I can't say yes or no. But I can say according pursuant to the provisions of the law, political parties are not supposed to receive funding from diaspora. It's an express rule, an express law that guides political parties. Hence, that law should be strictly adhered to. Yeah. But like I said, every candidate, they have ways that they go about raising funding. They have ways that they try to raise funding for their political campaigns. For instance, let me give an instance. The law gives a restriction on how much we spent on the campaign. Yeah, the law gives a restriction. Even before the Electoral Act was amended, there was a restriction. But we all know that that particular rule is not being adhered to. So if you ask a question and say, is this the first time people are exceeding the amount that they are supposed to spend during campaign, the answer would still not negate what the law says. Yeah, and I think for this meeting, it's important that we remember what the law provides.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sarah Adekunle James. I will take the next question. Once more, if anybody wants any specific question, please put in the chat. The second question is from Deji Shedu, specifically addressed to Mr. Sunday Akin Ogunji, Esquire. Can diaspora accounts in Nigerian banks be used to send funds to political entities in Nigeria? Mr. Ogunji, please.
Whether, come again with that question, Doctor. Whether
can diaspora accounts in Nigerian banks be used to send funds to political entities in Nigeria? So that if people in the diaspora have money in Nigeria in their account, can they use it and fund political entities in Nigeria?
Yes, the answer is yes. And in my presentation, my earlier presentation, I said that is one of the alternatives that people use. Some of us do that to help our people who are campaigning, who want to become chairman, governors, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can, because that money is not that remittance or the sending is not stricto sensu from outside Nigeria, but rather from Nigeria. You can be here in this age and time. You can be in Canada, you can be in the UAE, you can be in Australia. Go into your phone or your computer, get into your GTB's account or get into your UBA's account. Oh, checking, call it checking here. The personal account, what's it called, savings or so. Okay, I transfer this to this candidate, 10,000 naira, 1 million naira, 1 million naira, or to this political party, SDP or PRP, 500 naira. 1,000 naira. That remittance, that donation is from within Nigeria. What the Constitution prohibits, that is, if you interpret it literally, which I don't subscribe to, is that political party cannot get remittance or get asset from outside Nigeria and Cotonou there. Portnovo there, that is beside Badagry, is outside Nigeria as far as the law is concerned, as far as international law is concerned. So if you just drive down to you want to buy something, for instance, in Cotonou, you drive down to go and buy a car, a cheaper car in Cotonou, you get there. Oh, I need to send money to this political party or this political party to advance political interest. You go to one of the people who sends money, or you go to any bank there. You now say, I want to send this money to this PRP in Nigeria. You now send that money. That money is sent outside Nigeria, and that violates the Constitution of Nigeria, which is Section 223. It's as simple as that. You can do that. You can do that from your phone, from electronically. You can do that by accessing your account in Nigeria, your GTB account, your Zenith Bank account, and transfer the money. Then you'll be fine. Within the law, you'll be fine. It's as simple as that.
Thank you very much. I have another question, which is in a way a follow-up, but this is addressed to Professor Ananaba. Professor, according to the relevant laws, what is the maximum amount a candidate can raise from the diaspora? Also, if you could please add to that question and recap what the maximum amount of contribution to an individual in Nigeria, how much is allowed to the candidate in Nigeria, and how much is allowed to the candidate if in the diaspora, and you are arguing that they are allowed to raise funds.
All right. We have to keep also within the law. Because the law, again, it goes to show clearly. Let me clear certain things, salient points. And those points, the first question that was on ground was, can diaspora accounts in Nigerian banks be used to send funds to political entities in Nigeria? My answer is no. Because Section 87(1) of the Electoral Act will become operational. It entitles INEC. Remember, I had come from Section 153 of the Constitution and gone up to 3rd schedule of the Constitution, and I've gone back to Section 225. When you reading of those provisions, including 87(1), empowers INEC to investigate the source of the funds, to query the source of the funds. Now, the source of funds becomes, important. So, source of funds is important. So, if all we are trying to do is to say, okay, transfer from New York or Houston, if INEC checks that it came from Houston, the transfer was made from Houston, Section 87(1) is an issue. They may demand information from political party and say, this money, how did you get it? Now, I go straight to the two questions about individual. Because the law makes a distinction between a political party and individual in funding. How can we say that the funds of an individual is the fund of a political party, or the fund of a political party is the fund of an individual, that it is matched? It is not. They are different. Now, when you look at Section 88(8) of the Constitution, it said, no individual or other shall donate to a candidate more than 50 million naira. To a candidate. So the law envisages that donation can be made to a candidate, but it cannot be more than 50 million. It didn't say no Nigerian individual or entity, or no diaspora individual or entity. So we stay within the law, because in this case, it is addressing the candidates. You cannot donate to a candidate more than 50 million, whether it's from Nigeria or from elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I have a last question in the interest of time. This is from Dr. Victor Oke. Who interprets the law in Nigeria, and are the courts independent? Are laws governing election interpreted different from other laws? How will this affect this discussion? If we can have Mr. Okunji, please. Mr. Okunji Esquire.
Dr. Please, you have to come back with the question. The question is like five in one. That
Oh, okay, I shall try and break it down a bit.
yes, sir.
Is asking who interprets the law in Nigeria? Well, I guess. And are the courts independent? I guess that's a general question. And then are laws governing election interpreted different from other laws?
Okay. Who interprets the law in Nigeria? Of course, the judiciary is constitutionally empowered to interpret the law in Nigeria. It is the court that has judicial, it is called judicial power. Part of judicial power entrusted in the court to interpret the law in Nigeria. Whether it is a state law that is to be interpreted, whether it is a local law, customary court, whether it is a federal law in federal high court, court of appeal, or state high court, or Supreme Court of Nigeria, the highest court of the land. It is the courts that interpret laws in Nigeria. And are the courts independent? Of course, I'm a man of the bar. I'm a man of the bar. With due respect, sir. So you have my Venice book there. I will be punished if I say the courts are not independent. We can't be political in this matter. Of course, we have our reservations. We've dealt with some, in many cases, we've seen some biases here and there. But I won't say, as a man of the bar, having practiced the law as a trial lawyer for 27 years, I would say with respect to you, sir, and my listeners, that the courts are independent in Nigeria. And the third question is whether the laws governing electoral laws are interpreted differently from other matters. Is that the question, sir?
Yes, we can say so, yes.
No, they are not. They are not interpreted differently because they are, when it comes to interpreting statutes, there are laws, there are rules of interpretation that all the courts use. All these rules of interpretation, some were made as part of the interpretation law or act of any country, but some, I mean, a lot of them evolve through common law, and Nigeria is a common law country, having been colonized. I'm sorry to say that, I've been colonized by England, by Britain. So we inherited their law, we inherited common law. So the rules of interpretation are there for the court to use to interpret all the laws. We have the literal rule, which the venison advocate is applying only to section 225. But some of us are saying the golden rule is there because of the fact that the interpretation literally of section 225A say political party does not include the candidate when the constitution says that no, the constitution is clear that no independent candidacy, it will result in absurdity because I can talk to my business partners here, send $5 million to my candidate in Ondo State in Nigeria. He wants to be the governor. And I will be oppressing them. I'll be influencing the election in Nigeria with my money, with my partner's money in America. So for it not to result in absurdity, the court will apply the rule of the golden rule. We have the mischief rule. We have the extraordinary. We have the other rules of interpretation that the court use to interpret all laws across the board without bias to anyone or specific without specific preference to any particular act of the federation or law of the state or bylaw of the local government or regulations of any agency or government as the case may be.
Thank you. And Professor, please, your comment on that.
Section 6 of the Constitution is clear. Judicial authority in Nigeria rests with the courts. Are the courts independent? No waste of time, yes. Are the courts under threat? Yes. Are they independent? Yes. Are laws governing election interpreted different from other laws? Yes. Because election cases are still generous. They are on their own level. And that's partly why I'm interpreting the Electoral Act the way the perception I'm giving it, because the Electoral Act is peculiar. That's the other way of saying it. The election cases are peculiar. How will it affect this discussion? It will affect this discussion because the diaspora is not expected to worsen the case in Nigeria. I feel the diasporan Nigerian. He wants to make things work in his own country or her country. It doesn't. The intention of the Nigerian diaspora is not to create problems. So he needs the Nigerian diaspora needs to be guided so that they can make a difference. They can add value to the system. They can help in showing the way out of the woods. Particularly when 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, the Labour Party and its candidates began to drum for some financial support. It's important that they know that they cannot donate to a political party, but that they can donate to a candidate with a limit of 50 million. Not in terms of everybody. No single person can do more than 50 million, or no group can do more than 50 million. The law is conscious of what it's doing. A Nigerian is a Nigerian. A political party is a political party in Nigeria. Nigerian sovereignty does not allow a US organization, for example, or a Russian organization, or a Iraqi organization, a North Korean organization, a Canadian, to now begin to bring $10 million and give to a political party. Our sovereignty is gone. That's what the law is against. But for the individual, it's a different kettle of fish. Political parties must develop their ideology and must be a Nigerian ideology. So these are the law things the law looks at. I encourage you to use your organization positively to improve the lot of Nigeria, to support what the BT government is doing so that Nigeria will be better for all of us. And you can come home from time to time or finally to support and lift Nigeria higher and higher. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. And now, sorry, we're running out of time, but we will have a very quick comment, please, from Sarah Adekunle James, Esquire, on that last question, please. Very quick, please. Ms. James?
We lost her.
It looks like we lost her. I have a hand that's up. Are you able to put your question in the chat very quickly? We're running out of time.
All right, can I just ask right away?
Okay, go ahead then, go ahead.
Okay, great. So I have a question, right? Can an individual or a group of individuals sponsor individual campaigns on their own, independent of the party or the candidate? Can we pick some states and say, okay, we want to go and sponsor XYZ group here independently, or is it against the law?
Professor Onanama.
My answer is very clear. You cannot do that. All you can do is, you shouldn't dabble into politics. That's the point. All you can do is, if there's a candidate you like, and you want to send, just like you can send money to your brother to pay fees and all that, you can send money to your brother. You are not meant to dabble into politics. If you do, a Section 87(1) will kick in. INEC will try to find a source of funds Are you with me? But if you are giving just funds, somebody say, please help. It's a different thing than you just decide in America to go and sponsor a candidate. It can destabilize the country. That's what the law is looking at. You shouldn't take steps that destabilizes the country. But you can support candidates and limited to 50 million. And of course, you know that 50 million cannot, a candidate for local government chairman will, in practical terms, spend more than 50 million. I can tell you that. That's how difficult it is. A candidate for ordinary local government will spend more than 50 million, contrary to the laws I'm just talking about. So that's why the diaspora should bring a content of enlightenment. You can do enlightenment without touching any political party or candidate. There are many things you can do. You can support orientation in Nigeria. You can do medical
Missions.
And use that and to enlighten Nigerians. You can do all that. If you want to support a candidate, support a candidate, not a party, or not a party in disguise, like we want to go to support this state. No, it must be limited to a candidate as candidate.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're past our hour, and it's been a very enlightening discussion. I thank you all. It might be that we have more questions than answers, but for this hour, I think we've done due diligence to the topic. And I want to thank our presenters, our speakers, Mr. Sunday Akin Ogunji Esquire, Principal Law Office of Ogunji P. LLC, Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much. Ms. Sarah Adekunle James Esquire, lawyer and luminary here in the USA, both in the USA and also of Nigerian descent. Thank you very much. And Professor Paul Ananamba, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, thank you very much for your contributions. It's been excellent listening to all of you and your insights. And for my colleagues and participants, thank you very much for your questions. If there are any questions you later would like to pose to speakers, may I solicit access to you, distinguished panel? And if we have any burning questions, we shall forward them by email or WhatsApp, and my colleagues can put that in the NPAG WhatsApp chat. But at this point in time, we would like to close this discussion. Otherwise, we may not leave at all. And it's been a delight. Once more, thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye for now.